welcome to the Ghost of Harrenhal. My name's Simon.
And I'm McKelly.
Thank you for joining us for episode 22 of our chapter book review of A Song of Ice and Fire series by Jeor Mormont. Today we're discussing chapter 21 of A Game of Thrones, Tyrion 3.
We'll chat about the chapter and try not to spoil any future plot points for you, and we'll hopefully provide you with a little entertainment along the way.
We'll summarise what happened, discuss our thoughts on it, provide some useful background, compare it to the TV shows, indulge in a little pedantry, and cover some reader mail. Be sure to check out our show notes. They provide some additional information about the characters and other things of note in this chapter.
That they do.
How you doing?
All right.
I forgot how to say how you doing then. I was struggling with the words. How are you doing?
I want to ask him how he's doing.
Yeah.
How do I say that?
What's going on?
It's a swim weekend. So we've been
not for McKelly.
No, not for me. I just spend my days sitting around the pool. And we were there Friday night, last night, and we'll be there again tonight. She swims the mile today. 66 lengths of the pool.
Jeez.
Hopefully as fast as she can.
What's the target time?
I'm hoping for somewhere in the 20-minute point-some-second range. Man. Yeah, not for me again.
Yeah.
It would take me a better part of an hour.
Once you're swimming that far, do you watch it all?
Yeah.
You watch her constantly,
or
are you like,
yeah.
I'll crack open the book and read for a while. I'll miss this middle 20.
She often thinks about totally random things
while she's swimming.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm like, if you focused on the race, you might drop more time. But because she has no clock to look at, she has to use an internal clock when she's pacing herself.
Wow.
What she likes for me to do is try and stand somewhere that I can try and signal to her how her laps are going.
Okay.
Like if she's on pace on a particular lap.
So do you have a whole series of hand signals a la baseball teams?
More or less, yes. Yeah. Thumbs up means you're right on pace. If I do like the wind the watch symbol,
she's got to speed up a little.
Pick it up. Yeah. And if I do the pointing down, that means now. Put it all out there now. Now is the time.
So it feels like you don't have you're slightly ahead of schedule. Slow down a little.
There's no whoa. What are you doing? Your time's going to be way too fast.
Poor
kid.
Molly. All right. We've got a long one here, so let's get down to business.
Yeah, let's do it.
Quick recap of what Tyrion was up to previously. Last we saw of Tyrion, he was at Castle Black at the Wall. There, he was celebrating with Jon the news that Bran had awoken. Woo. At no point did he react like, "Oh, I'm surprised I sent an assassin with my big fancy knife to dispatch Bran." So, I'm really surprised.
Maybe he's quite the actor.
Perhaps, yes.
Keeps it cool. I don't know.
Yeah. McKelly, why don't you give us the summary of this chapter?
Okay. Tyrion's feasting with Lord Commander Mormont and some of the Night's Watch dignitaries. He's being his usual charming self, but like Jon before him, he manages to mortally offend Ser Alliser Thorne.
Who is a bit thin-skinned.
Yes, that's easily done.
Yeah.
Thorne storms off, and Mormont gets down to business of trying to convince Tyrion to use his influence to have the Lords of the Realm send more proper men and resources to the Wall. Tyrion can't shake the feeling that it's a big waste of time, but he does accept that the Night's Watch is not all it once was. Ultimately, Mormont impresses on him that something bad is stirring north of the Wall, and that when winter arrives, the Night's Watch will stand between the realm and the darkness. And when Tyrion leaves Mormont, he intends to go to his bedchamber and head to sleep, but inexplicably, he decides to take one more look at the world from atop the wall instead. And when he finally makes his way up there, he finds Jon, who's pulled sentry duty. Turns out Jon's been making friends since we last saw him, helping Gren and Pip to improve their fighting abilities. The pair walk for a while.
Jon and Tyrion now.
Yes,
yeah.
Jon and Tyrion walk for a while. And Tyrion mentions that he plans to stop at Winterfell on his return to King's Landing, and he asks Jon if he has any messages for his family. Jon asks that Tyrion help Bran. He says Tyrion helped him when he needed it, and he asks that he do the same for Bran. And then Jon calls Tyrion a friend, and Tyrion is touched by the notion. Jon is getting concerned about how long his Uncle Benjen has been missing, and he plans to take Ghost and go looking for him if he doesn't return soon. And then Tyrion wonders who will then go find Jon when he does.
Yes. Good chapter.
Yeah.
So we see that Tyrion's better at making friends than Jon. Although Thinking about that, it's easier to make friends when you're not being drilled by the drill sergeant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're bound to, you're there whining and dining with the bigwigs.
More laid back. Yeah. This is his big vacation for the year, I guess.
And it's interesting, you said in the summary that it was inexplicable that he would want to go up on the wall again, but it's like going to Paris and not going up the Eiffel Tower.
Right,
You're going to do it, Going all the way to the wall, I want to see what's over there.
I think it was the timing, as he was really looking forward to getting into his bed.
Yeah.
And then on his way back to his bed, he's like, that 700-foot block of ice, I'm going to go to the top of that one more time.
Yeah, he's just like Jon. He doesn't like Alliser Thorne,
No.
and Alliser Thorne doesn't like Tyrion either. So
No, and we did learn from Jon that Ser Alliser is not the greatest at being the butt of a joke.
yeah,
Really needs to lighten up a little bit.
yeah. I wonder if that comes from being at the Night's Watch without wanting to be. Being
Right.
against your will. Yeah. If you were there as a volunteer, you might be more sort of
rosier
well-disposed.
outlook.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Although again, I mean, Jon to a certain extent chose it, and he doesn't seem that rosy about it.
Not yet, that's for sure. Although it does seem like a little bit, things may be looking up a little bit, making some friends.
So when Tyrion mocks Alliser Thorne, Thorne actually challenges him to a fight, but Tyrion diffuses the situation by poking him with his crab fork.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Making everybody laugh, but Alliser storms off. So
Yeah, it's probably not the first time that someone has been offended by his comments, which often tend to be a little barbed, a little cutting, and that he's probably had to talk his way out of a situation. So.
And when Thorne leaves, Tyrion says that he shouldn't be drilling the new recruits. He should be mucking out the stables. But Lord Mormont makes the point: I got plenty of people who are capable of mucking out the stables. I don't have many warriors here. So
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't seem like Alliser is the right man for the job of breaking in new recruits. Although I guess it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, if you're trying to break the new recruits,
right.
He's the right man for
He's
that.
definitely your, if you want to raise hard, mean men, like what Donald Noy told Jon that the men of the Night Watch are, I guess maybe he is your guy if that's what you're trying to create.
So the other character that Tyrion interacts with is Sir Jeremy Riker. He's another person who was sent to the wall after Robert's Rebellion for fighting for Aerys. But he seems a little sort of like less holding of a grudge.
He does, yeah.
A little bit more positive in his outlook.
Yeah, Riker specifically mentions that Tywin Lannister, who's Tyrion's father, gave them the choice of taking the black or having their head on a spike. And, it had me wonder if that might give Alliser more reason to dislike Tyrion, because both of them were in that same boat.
That's true. Riker mentions it, but it applied to both of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Riker doesn't seem to be holding a grudge about it, at least not toward Tyrion.
Yeah, and of course, that also goes to why Thorne probably had an instant dislike to Jon Snow.
Right.
Ned Stark's son, Ned Stark, was also involved, although Ned Stark wasn't the one threatening to kill him.
Right.
So Tyrion jokes that if he doesn't leave the wall soon, Jaime will think that he's taken the black.
Yeah, and Lord Commander Mormont mentions that they could use men like him on the wall. And, with his intelligence, he should be in demand everywhere, not just at the Night's Watch. Yeah. So it seems at the moment like his talents are being a bit wasted. He doesn't appear to hold any particular job other than brother of the Queen and son of Tywin Lannister.
Yeah, this very much puts me in mind of the British royal family, but I'm absolutely blanking on the name of Charles and Diana's second son. The one who's married to Meghan. Harry, that's the fella, yeah. I'm not coming across much of a royalist here, am I? So it's like Harry, you see? Right. Tyrion's like Harry. He's not really being used to his full potential. That's why he wants to break away. That's what I was getting at. So another voice pipes up. We hadn't even noticed he was there, but Maester Aemon, who's sorry, I call him Master, but Maester Aemon, who's the Maester of the Knight of Castle Black, refers to Tyrion as a giant.
Yes, that's after Bowen Marsh refers to him as a little man when he says, "You have quite the thirst for a little man." And Aemon pipes up with, "He's a giant come among us here at the end of the world."
Yeah, and actually Tyrion's quite touched by that.
Yeah.
Maester Aemon's 100 years old and revered by everyone at the Night's Watch.
Yeah, when he pays you a compliment.
Yeah.
It's one worth taking note of.
Maester Aemon is blind, so perhaps that's why he hasn't noticed that Tyrion is small.
Yeah. Well, I guess you might be able to figure out where that voice is coming from.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was just going to say, maybe because he's blind, he's not biased to his size as much. Yeah. You know, he focuses more on the intellect and his potential, I guess, possibly.
Yeah. So the rest of the characters leave the scene, and we're left with Tyrion talking to Jeor Mormont.
Yep. He starts to lay the foundation for his true agenda.
Mormont does.
Yes, Mormont starts to lay his agenda out. He begins by pointing out how dangerous the trip from Winterfell, or to Winterfell, I guess I should say, can be, and he offers guards to see Tyrion there safely. Now, Tyrion had just made the trip in the other direction, so, you know.
But he did have his own guards,
yes.
And he had
Benjen.
Yoren. No, not Benjen.
He had Benjen and Jon with him, and Yoren and the two rapers
right.
from the Fingers. He had quite the party. So.
Right. Okay, let me just express here that I'm a little skeptical about how dangerous it is between the Wall and Winterfell. I mean, this is like the frozen tundra. There's nobody there to terrorize you, surely, you know. Well, I guess maybe, I suppose. But I mean, there just wouldn't be enough traffic.
Yeah.
To, like, you're bandits, yeah?
Right.
You want to be near a road. There is the King's Road, runs all the way to the Wall. But what's on that road? Just like rapers and, you know, like unhappy people. With no money, you know.
That are very cold.
Right. Because I mean, it's not like produce moves up to the Wall along the King's Road, because they have lands just south of the Wall where they produce their own food.
Right.
So it just doesn't seem like it would be that dangerous of a trip.
Well, he needs him to at least think it's dangerous, because he wants a favor paid, and so he's going to offer a service in return for the favor. But then Tyrion mentions that maybe Jon be part of the group that Lord Commander Mormont is going to send with him to Winterfell. Thought it might be nice for him to see his brothers, but Mormont thinks that is a terrible idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get his point. You know, they want people to sever their ties.
Yes. Yeah.
Allowing him this soon. In fact, before he even makes his oath.
Right, which is got me wondering if he went on this trip to Winterfell, would he come back to the Night's Watch?
Pretty sure he would not.
I agree.
And that's why Mormont doesn't want it to happen.
Yeah. Although Jon would probably really enjoy such a trip.
Yeah, particularly because Kat's not there.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Him and Rob could have a great time.
Yeah.
So see Bran again.
Yeah, the cat is away, so...
I know where you're going there. But yeah, that is interesting, actually. I wonder if Jon realistically would just be like, I'm doing this. Right. I don't care what you say. You're not the boss of me. I haven't made an oath. You know.
I have not said the words yet. Although Jeor implies that what Jon is going through is a pretty normal experience for folks new to the Night's Watch. Yeah. You know, he mentioned that he himself hasn't returned home and that he has nieces that he's never met. And I wonder if he means he's never... I guess it's what he's never returned home.
How long has he been there? Has he been there since the
Before the rebellion.
Before the rebellion, okay. So that's interesting.
It's definitely before Jorah disgraces himself.
Okay. You see, I was wondering if it's that. I wonder if it was Jorah's disgrace that took Jeor to the Wall, but no, it was before that.
Yeah,
right.
Yes, he abdicated his lordship for Jorah, and then Jorah disgraced himself.
I see.
So it's not quite, but I felt like it was almost implied that he too would fear the pool of family if he went to Bear Island.
Yeah, well,
because he said, I don't remember the exact wording, but he said basically like, I get it. You know, I get why Jon would feel the pull. Yeah. And that, of
course, you know, Ned and Ice would encourage me to. I like my family fine, but I also like my head right where it is. And it's not like you could go, oh, Ned, you've come over here to chop my head off. I'll go back to the Wall. He doesn't really go with that. I've noticed.
You mean, you know, a lot of other worse punishments are, hey, take the black, go to the Wall. Yeah. You think fleeing might be like, go back, or face different punishment. Yeah. Just resetting the clock. You're going back to the Wall again.
Yeah. So now, basically, we come to the crux of it. Mormont really wants more troops and resources at the Wall. I mean, that's basically what he wants to talk to Tyrion about, and thinks that Tyrion has the potential to use his influence to do that. The tricky part about this is that Tyrion, whilst recognizing that there's a dilapidation and a sort of like a uselessness to the recruits at the Wall, still doesn't quite see the point. Right. And while he doesn't quite see the point, he's unwilling to throw himself into this mission, you know.
Yeah, Mormont mentions that numbers are down to 600 total. to cover 300 plus miles of the wall, which he says is 3 men per wall, and Tyrion says technically it's 3 1/4 or something, 3 1/3, I think it is.
Hey, who's the mathematician?
Certainly not me.
Certainly not me. So Mormont points out that the Night's Watch is heading towards a management crisis. He says that he knows that Bowen Marsh and Alliser Thorne aren't the best people, but he can't demote them because he needs every able-bodied. I mean, able-bodied in the sense of being competent in the highest possible positions that they can get them to.
Yeah, he refers to the Night's Watch. Mormont, not even Tyrion, Mormont refers to the Night's Watch as an army of sullen boys and tired old men. I guess there's 2 schools of thought there. As long as they're only guarding against Grumpkins, that's fine.
Yeah.
But of course, as we read the prologue, we know there's something scary north of the wall, so that's trouble. But, the realm is forgotten why they're there, so few self-respecting lords or knights even consider it as an option if they have a choice.
Yeah.
I think that probably made Ser Waymar from the prologue a rather rare get.
Yeah. So kind of a particular loss because they have actually someone who was castle trained come to the wall voluntarily, and then they lost him within a year.
Yeah. So Mormont counts hardly more than 20 men who can read and less who can think and plan or lead.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking, similar to Ser Waymar, that Jon would get more special treatment.
Yeah, but I think that might come. I think, you've got to put people through basic training. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you've got to put people through basic training. And you definitely don't want to lose Jon, so you definitely don't let him out of your sight.
Right.
Till he's taken the oath,
That's true.
Yeah. because absolutely, you're right. I mean, he is clearly going to be a spectacular shining light in the Night's Watch.
Yeah.
Let's, nurture that to a certain extent. But at the same time, you got to treat him like everybody else.
Yeah, you got to break him down first and then start to build him back up, I guess. We did learn that Ser Waymar got special treatment. I mentioned in the background info, the prologue or somewhere pretty early on, that he got command of that ranging that went so sour there, thanks to the others, because he basically told Jeor Mormont, I deserve this because I'm a knight.
Yeah.
And even though he'd been there 6 months.
I wonder actually if that's, if because the balance of power here has switched to the lords who are offering up their third sons.
Right.
They can say, look, you can have him, but he needs to be treated better than the rest,
Right, yeah.
So maybe that started to happen, and Lord Commander Mormont is in no position to, to say, no, that's not happening. Oh, you've lost another one.
Although once he's said the words, once he's taken the black,
true, yeah.
So I was wondering, why is he worried? He was worried about offending Jan Royce, which was Ser Waymar's father, and I was like, what? First of all, how's he ever going to find out? He's all the way down in the Vale. Yeah. And, anyway.
But there's a whole PR thing, I mean, if Ser Waymar wrote to his dad and says, Daddy, he's not treating me as well as he said he would.
I want a bean party.
Exactly. I want a squirrel. Then that word might get around, and other lords might not send their third sons.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. He's doing a little PR work there. I get it. I get it.
So you noticed that there was an interesting statement that previous Lord Commanders had raised the wall higher.
Yeah, I'd never...
No, I hadn't thought about it. It seems strange. Seems very difficult.
Right.
It seems like the skill of the Bran the Builder's age has been lost, and yet previous Lord Commanders had managed it.
Are they raising it across evenly all 300 feet, or is it rigid? Like there's 100-foot drops here and there.
The trick, of course, would be to raise it where they can't defend it.
Right. Yeah,
so actually, the lowest point of the wall should be at Castle Black, and then raise it in between. But
good point. Yeah. And I also thought, as he's the 997th Lord Commander, so if each one built it a little higher, maybe it just started out as like a snow fort or something. It was really meant just for a snowball fight.
So Tyrion does make the promise that he'll try, but he internalizes that he thinks their responses will be ignoring, laughing, and thinking he's crazy.
Right. It's pretty... I don't know. It seems like Mormont's fairly out of touch with how the Night's Watch is perceived in the rest of the realm. Yeah. Maybe he should leave from time to time, you know?
But
Get down
then
to King's Landing.
But still, what do? You still have to convince skeptical people that there is some existential threat north of the Wall that you can't, it's very difficult for you to articulate what that is.
Right. Yes.
You know,
we're guarding against darkness.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a darkness.
Yeah. You think of them as grumpkins. I need 2,000 men provisioned and armed.
I need 2,000 trained men. None of these sullen boys. Yeah.
So that's his problem. I mean, there's just no, until the threat materializes, and then it will be too late.
Right.
There's just no way to win this argument.
I mentioned a little bit about why that is in the background info. I have a tiny little hit on it a little bit.
So 997 Lord Commanders. That's amazing. So I mean, like, if you give them each, I mean, how long is it? Is it 3,000 years since Bran the Builder?
Somewhere between 6,000 to 8,000 years.
6,000 to 8,000 years.
Yeah, they kind of lost a specific touch.
And yet they can count how many Lord Commanders.
That's easy. They just put a mark on the wall each time.
So each Lord Commander lasts 6 to 8 years then, I guess, because there's 1,000 of them. So that's the typical
probably
span
some,
for a Lord Commander.
Yeah, probably some died shortly.
It did get me thinking, and I mean, this is a tangent that we don't have time for because this is a long chapter, but let me digress.
These are my favorite parts, the digression.
It's interesting. If you think about the sort of scientific progress of our world between, say, 1 AD and now,
right?
It's been prodigious.
It has, yes.
So that's 2,000 years.
I think I know where you're going with this.
They don't seem to have progressed as much in their 6,000 to 8,000
compasses.
Years. Yeah. And one of the things I've read, this is a critique of religion, and I don't want to get into a sort of big religious debate, but I've heard people argue that sort of, certainly in the Western world, the lack of religious freedom, or the sort of religious imposition, caused the Dark Ages, and basically we stopped progressing for like 400 or 500 years,
right, sure,
during that period of time. So we could be even more advanced,
right,
were it not for that. Now, factor that into Westeros now. They don't seem to have a religion that beats down on people and forces them. So they don't even have that reason to not have had these innovations.
Yeah.
And they've got a university, and they seem to have learning, and they don't seem to, they seem to respect that. It's strange that they haven't evolved.
Right.
I think they've got nukes. That's what they're afraid of, north of the Wall, perhaps.
But what he hasn't revealed yet is that Winds of Winter will involve steampunk. They're going to figure out how to use steam engines.
So I was just thinking about that last night. Sorry.
Yeah, I like that. That's really interesting. But I guess getting back to business, we learned that Tyrion has seen about 8 or 9 winters. He's not really sure exactly how many, but
which the interesting thing about that is that it really shows how abnormally long this summer has been, because he's only in his 30s, right?
I think he's like 28, late 20s, something like that.
So that means the sort of average time for a year, I mean, a year being a summer and a winter, say, is only 4 years.
Right.
To have both a summer and a winter.
Yeah.
So an 8 or 9 year...
Yeah, this is heading into its 10th year this summer.
Summer is abnormally long. In fact, if you think about it, if you subtract those 10 years from his life, then if he's seen 8 or 9 winters, he saw them all in his first 18 years.
Yeah, right.
So it's actually just like a 1 year summer, 1 year winter, 1 year summer, 1 year winter is the normal.
That's a good point. We also learned, though, that a long summer often means a long winter. And
right.
Maester Aemon and the other Maesters from the Citadel are all in agreement that summer is waning. So this is when Mormont says that the darkness is coming. He mentions a bunch of different dark things that have been sighted north of the Wall, like direwolves, which we know have also been spotted south of the Wall and at the Wall at this point. Mammoths and snow bears the size of
orcs.
Yes. But, it seems like those are things that would benefit from a long summer. Things that require food.
Yeah. I was just reading this morning, actually, a theory of humans needing to hibernate. I mean, we can't literally hibernate because we can't do what hibernating animals do, but...
I can barely sleep through the night.
Right, but it was interesting that they did some studies where they sort of deprived people of light, and they found of artificial light.
Okay.
And they found that when they had like 14 hours of darkness, what they would do is they would sleep for 3-4 hours. Then they would wake up and have like a couple of hours of not stressed being awake, because when I wake up in the night, I'm pretty stressed about the fact I'm missing out on sleep, but actually kind of relaxed and sort of like, dozy and not doing too much. And then they would sleep again. And apparently this was a very common way of sleeping back before electricity.
I've heard about that.
And then that middle time in the night was often sort of like, people would do sort of prayer or meditation or making love. That was often the time for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and apparently people naturally gravitate towards that when we take away artificial light from them.
Huh. Wow. Yeah. That's pretty neat. Yeah, good stuff.
And again, complete tangent to what we're talking about. So anyway, Tyrion laughs about, to a certain extent, he laughs about the sightings of all these things. He said that they often see merlings.
Yeah.
Which, interestingly, in the TV show, they say mermaids.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
So.
Well, yeah, he makes that joke when Mormont mentions that fisherfolk near Eastwatch have glimpsed White Walkers on the shore.
Right.
And he says that the fisherfolk in Lannisport have seen merlings. Mm-hmm. And White Walkers are another term for others, which are not to be confused with whites, which we explained the difference way back in the prologue. Others are magical beings made of ice type stuff, and the whites are reanimated dead that they create. So that's basically the difference. So Mormont finishes his plea by saying that when the long night falls, only the Night's Watch will stand between the realm and the darkness that sweeps from the north. And God help us all if we're not ready. And if that does happen, I think they're probably rather screwed.
Yeah.
Because these 600 sullen boys and old men not going to be able to protect from what we saw Sir Waymar have to put
even
up
the
with.
useful ones, like seasoned veterans like Garrett, ran.
Right.
Ran when they saw it.
Yeah. It's definitely an impassioned plea, and sitting in Castle Black, it's certainly easier to accept at least a little from if you're sitting in King's Landing or Lannisport, where it's just an eye-roll worthy type situation.
So Tyrion finally gets away from Mormont and his pleas and talk of others. Decides, instead of going to bed, he'll just have one last look on the wall. And while he's up there, he runs into Jon and Ghost. The trio go on Jon's rounds together, mostly to keep from freezing.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
Jon says Ser Alliser has seen to it that Jon continuously draws night guard duty up there, which has gotta be cold.
Yeah. Jon mentions that Alliser is hoping that with getting no sleep and drilling all day, he will start to slip up. But he says to us, this point, he has disappointed him.
Yeah. And we hear that he's starting to make friends with the boys who were ready to beat him up last time we saw them.
Starting to make friends. Yeah. All right. And we also learned that Ser Alliser isn't just mean, he's also rather useless as a trainer.
Compared to Jon, because Jon is actually making them better.
Right, yeah. He mentioned that Ser Alliser hadn't even taught Pip how to hold the sword correctly. Right. So you'd think that might be like day one type stuff. Or maybe day two after you get your syllabus and everything on day one.
So your housing.
That's right.
So Tyrion mentions that he's going to stop in Winterfell on the way, asks Jon if he's got any message.
Yeah. I like his line about Robb. That he says, I'm going to be commanding the Night's Watch one of these days, so tell Robb he should just take up needlework with the girls.
Rickon can have all his stuff.
Yeah, he's concerned that Rickon won't understand where he's gone. So tell him he can have all my stuff. That'll make him happy.
Yeah. And he pleads with Tyrion to help Bran in some way.
Yeah, and it's another
request for Tyrion that can't possibly be delivered on.
These folks of the Night Watch are demanding, aren't they?
And I'd like a heater.
Yeah, so he asks Tyrion to help Bran like Tyrion had helped Jon when Jon needed it, and Tyrion really doesn't think there's much he can do. His actual line is, "You're asking a lame man to teach a cripple how to dance. No matter how sincere the lesson, the result is likely to be grotesque." Which I think is a little self-deprecating. I'm sure Tyrion can offer some useful advice. He seems to be good at that.
It's a good exchange, though. You see Jon really likes and respects Tyrion, and that it's, to a certain extent, mutual as well, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Tyrion thinks there's the smell of summer on Jon, but he's a good kid.
Yeah. And he keeps giving Tyrion a lot of credit for helping him. But it seems like, Tyrion's not the only one that has been trying to help him. It seems like everybody has been trying to help him, which I think is a point you made in the last Jon chapter.
Yeah. But I think your counter-argument was, it's because he's not in an authority position over him. I mean, the people who have given him the same advice have been in a position of authority, and you rebel against authority.
Yes, especially kids.
And Tyrion isn't an authority
Yeah.
and speaks his mind.
Right.
You're not. Yeah. You know you're going to get it straight from Tyrion. So.
Yep. I like this scene. This seems like they're developing a cool little friendship here, but I just wonder how he would react if he knew about the allegations laid against him. I don't know that he could believe them either. I don't know, but it seems...
Again, coming back to Bran's reaction when the news came... Sorry, Bran's reaction. Tyrion's reaction when the news of Bran's recovery came. It was genuine happiness.
Right.
It'd be very hard if you went to Jon now and said, Jon, we think Bran might have sent an assassin to kill Bran.
Or Tyrion.
I'm just going to call Tyrion Bran here.
Let's call all characters Bran from now on.
So if you told Jon now, Tyrion sent an assassin to kill Bran, he'd be like, no, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
That's crazy talk.
I know that guy. He would never do that. So I was thinking about the fact that Tyrion is going back to Winterfell, a place where he is alleged that he may have had put together an assassination attempt on the son of the Lord of Winterfell. And I was trying to think about why, if he was guilty, if he did do it, why he would stop at Winterfell on the way back. I mean, there's a lot of other places he could stop. So I was asking Stacy, because she considers herself a bit of a true crime expert. I was asking her why a criminal might return to the scene of the crime. And she said that they often insert themselves into the situation, like to join a search party or volunteer in some way for the excitement and to hear news of what's going on.
Not to undermine Sherlock Stacy here, but so do people who genuinely care.
Right.
Who are innocent and genuinely want the best.
Yes, I'm just saying, if he's guilty.
Yeah, that's true.
If he's guilty, why would he ever stop back at Winterfell?
Well, it is on the way. And I think...
It is,
I'm not sure it was in the book, but in the TV show he says there aren't many feather beds between here and King's Landing.
Good point.
And it has the hot water flowing through the walls, the hot springs keeping it warm. I would definitely stop at Winterfell. Especially because Tyrion has a clear conscience.
Right.
He clearly does not think he will be welcomed at Winterfell like a murderer. You know?
Right, that's a good point. Then they sign off with a bit of a touching moment where they shake hands and call each other friends. And again, Tyrion has a cool line here. He says, Jon calls him friend, and Tyrion says, most of my kin are bastards, but you're the first I've had to friend.
Mm-hmm. Jon seems to gravitate towards those who are different from the normal, like Arya and now Tyrion.
Yep.
Jon expresses concern over Uncle Benjen's delayed return from ranging north of the wall. He and Ghost are going to look for him if he doesn't come back.
He's not the only one expressing concern. Lord Mormont also mentioned that he's been gone an awfully long time, and he's like, well, who am I going to send? I sent him after Sir Waymar and that group, and now that group's gone missing. Who am I going to send after Benjen and his group?
It comes back to Ned was a little quick to use ice. I mean, just ask Garrett what happened to the other two.
Yeah, maybe, some hot soup.
Exactly.
A nice warm bath in the Winterfell hot springs.
Hot springs, exactly, yeah.
And then be like, okay, now what's wrong?
Yeah. But Tyrion wonders if Jon and Ghost go north looking for Benjen, who will be sent looking for them.
It's going to be an endless stream of...
But then that goes to the fact that he is thawing, if you will, to the idea that there is something bad north of the wall.
Yes, as he's standing on the wall looking out, he can almost imagine that all the talk of the others and stuff are true. And he starts to feel a little bit bad about making the grumpkin and snark type jokes. Yeah. But ultimately, it's probably not a good idea that Jon go, especially with that fresh scent of summer clinging to him. He's got to get rid of that before he considers doing any such thing.
All right, so give me some background on the long night then.
Yeah.
The long night, well, you couldn't tell when Kelly said it earlier, but it's got capital letters.
It does. It's not a long night. It is the long night. So that came up, as you might remember a few minutes ago, Lord Mormont mentioned that when the long night comes again, that they're going to need the Night's Watch. The realm is going to need the Night's Watch. So the Long Night is a name given to a period when darkness fell across the known world. It occurred during the Age of Heroes, which, as I mentioned earlier, was somewhere between 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. And it came during a terrible winter that lasted for years. And the Long Night itself lasted for a generation and caused famine and terror. And the legend has it that during this time, the others came from the far north in an area of Westeros known as the Lands of Always Winter. The children of the forest and the first men fought them but were driven southward. And then the Night's Watch was created and drove the others back in a battle known as the Battle for the Dawn. And the battle is possibly connected with the legends of Azor Ahai and The Last Hero, which are both pretty cool stories. And Azor Ahai we will certainly talk a lot more about later. So we'll save those for another day.
So yeah, I was interested about the fact that the Night's Watch predates the Wall. You know, that it was formed.
Right.
It was formed for the same reason it exists today, which is to protect the realm from threats from the north, but it actually predates the Wall.
Yes.
So
it was like I said, it was created during the Long Night to push the others back.
Yeah.
And
so do you think the Long Night is just a euphemistic description of the terrible winter, the years-long winter, or do you think it's a specific period within that? Because I mean, that winter lasted for years. The Long Night lasted a generation.
Right.
I mean, it's just the winter, isn't it? I think it's and the question to me is any winter that follows a long summer
a long
potentially
night.
The long night, the next long night?
Could be. Because these things took place in the Age of Heroes and our Westerosi written history doesn't go back more than a couple thousand years. You know, this is all legend.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess it depends on if you believe the Long Night was just a really hard winter or if the Long Night was a really hard winter that had others streaming from the north. Yeah. But after the Battle of the Dawn, steps were taken to ensure that the people would never be caught off guard again from an invasion from the north. That's when Bran the Builder supposedly then raised the wall. And so began the Night's Watch duty, to guard the realm from the threats from beyond the wall. But since the others haven't been seen in thousands of years, except for by the unfortunate Waymar Royce and company, people have begun to think of their main duty as being chasing wildlings away from the wall.
Right.
Kind of forgotten the original purpose, if it indeed existed.
Yeah, so the other bit of background, House Riker, Jeremy Riker, they're from the Crown Lands. They have an awesome sigil. It's like the Scottish flag, the Saltire Cross of St. Andrews. And on the cross, there are crossed hammers, war hammers. So it's really cool.
That is cool.
So comparison with the TV show, Tyrion has two separate conversations with Night's Watch dignitaries. He has one with Yoren and Benjen, and then later he meets with Aemon and some Ser Mormont. He doesn't have any interaction with Alliser Thorne.
No, that's probably for the best.
But basically everything that was said in the chapter is said between those two conversations. But it's interesting, timing-wise, Benjen hasn't left yet. He's headed, but he hasn't actually left. So Jon is not yet worried about Benjen's absence because it hasn't happened. Also, neither of the two sweet moments in this chapter where Tyrion is touched by Maester Aemon calling him a giant and Jon and Tyrion expressing friendship for one another on top of the wall, neither of those happen in the TV show. They're both dropped. It's more hard-nosed, the TV show.
Yeah.
And Tyrion pees over the wall. That was the thing he really wanted to do, was pee over the wall.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
One thing, an opportunity.
One thing I noticed in the TV show that the sentries on top of the wall always sit in the gaps. So the top of the wall is sort of like crenellated with sort of like gaps where you can look out and gaps where you're protected. They always sit in the gaps where the wind would howl. I'm like, seriously, just move a few feet.
Just shift
just
your left a
poke
little
your head out occasionally to see if something's coming. You got plenty of room.
Not to mention, you're 700 feet in the air.
Exactly.
If something's coming, it's going to take a long time.
Exactly.
Is that a speck moving down there?
So in Pedantry Corner, I couldn't really find anything in the chapter, but the TV show, I've got a pedantry thing about the TV show. When Tyrion pees over the edge of the wall, we get a view from behind him.
Which is Better.
Better. Yeah, well, actually, we get a view from above where you actually see the pea coming out.
Okay.
You have to really look to see where it's coming out of. But then you get a view from behind him where he makes that universal body motion that all men would know of sort of like a shake and a jostle and a... The more I thought about it, the more I think that motion is because we have zippers in our pants.
Yeah.
Even if you had a button fly, you might make that motion, but that's because you've been influenced. I think we need to take a newborn baby boy and put him only in button fly trousers for his life and see if he independently comes out with that motion. Because I think
is
that
it nature
motion,
or nurture?
Exactly. I think that motion is because Peter Dinklage has grown up with zip flies, and so he does that sort of because it's the jostle.
Oh, man. I wish we had video. Wish this was a video cast instead of a podcast. Because emotions are quite hilarious.
Because the sort of jostle. I mean, partly it's to get rid of the drips, to get those off, but partly it's to pull the zipper up. Right? You know what I mean?
I do. I follow you.
I'm just completely convinced. I'm not accusing Peter Dinklage of being a bad actor. I just think that motion wasn't quite right.
No, he's definitely a fantastic actor. Yeah. That is definitely not it. Oh, that was funny.
Seriously, it just looks like he's pulling up a zip.
Oh, man.
But again, they've had 6,000 to 8,000 years to invent the zip. Maybe they could just do...
What are those maesters doing in the Citadel?
It'd be funny if they
It's because they wear robes. That's
right. Who needs a zipper? But it'd be funny if, like, in the 6,000 to 8,000 years, they really had developed, like, incredible technologies in certain directions, but the rest of it was all sort of medieval still.
Oh, man.
So we still fight with swords, but we do have zippers, and we have teleportation. Well, actually, that's something that happened in the TV show, actually, is they really did have teleportation. I mean, like, those crows would just, like, fly.
Right, yeah.
Timeline's got... All right.
All right, news and notes. We did have a question for you all, so there's an action item here for you listeners. We were wondering, do you like the shorter background info on multiple topics, or would you prefer, when possible, a deeper dive into one relevant topic? So if you have any opinions, please let us know. Yeah. Of course, we always like to hear from you all.
Yeah.
Regardless. Another bit of news and notes. So I went out onto Podchaser and we have a new review.
Oh, woo.
It was very good. It was 5 stars. It was very glowing. And the end of it was, "Good job, McKelly."
Oh.
And the name of the reviewer was Roger Palmer.
That's my brother.
I had a hunch I knew who that was. I noticed it at the swim meet yesterday, and I showed Stacy. I was like, I have a hunch. I know exactly who wrote this review. Rob, you did not mask yourself well enough.
Yes. So we're going to keep the 2 episodes per week for a little bit longer if we can.
Doing our best. It's a significant more. It's twice the effort, so we can't keep this up forever, but we are going to keep trying for as long as a little bit longer anyway. Yeah. Oh, and we've gotten some feedback for a little while now that some listeners would like episodes available on YouTube. So ask and you shall receive. Right now, it's just our episodes with a static image of our sigil. Maybe someday we'll have other things there. I don't know. That's not in the plans at the moment.
So you mean like videoing us?
Yeah, or something. I don't know. I don't know that anybody would care to see video of the 2 of us sitting here.
Because then we have to edit out all the disasters from both the audio and the video.
Right.
Yeah.
That could get exhausting. Yeah. Plus, we'd have to hold perfectly still. So, so anyway, there you go, Noah. I hope you enjoy your YouTube videos.
So, conclusion, the Night's Watch is having trouble just keeping the lights on, but as we've just discussed, that will help them hibernate. You know?
Right. Yeah. Tyrion especially notices this as he's on his way in the lift up to the top of the wall. He can see kind of a bird's eye view of the Castle Black, and he can see that it's really kind of falling into some serious disrepair.
Yeah, Mormont really believes that winter's coming, and some bad news is coming with it.
Yep, and he's really hoping that Tyrion might have some influence to bolster support from some major lords of the realm.
Yeah, the dregs of the realm are beginning to gain a critical mass in the Night's Watch.
They really are, yes. Yeah. It sure seems like it.
Yeah. Tyrion's heading home, stopping in Winterfell. Is he returning to the scene of his crime, or is he just a pawn?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We've talked about that a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
And he and Jon really do seem to truly appreciate each other. It's too bad that soon they're going to be on opposite ends of Westeros. Maybe they can be Raven pals.
I like it.
All right. You got anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, me too. So as always, you can reach us at ghosts.harrenhal@gmail.com and follow us on Twitter at ghostharrenhal. And we are on Facebook. And I forgot to mention, we're now on Instagram, which is something Stacy insisted that we do.
We are. What an empire.
Right. And as I mentioned, we're now on YouTube. So plenty of ways to go interact with us and check us out. We appreciate if you chose a few. It'd be great.
All right. Thanks very much for listening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.